around because here at Nassau, we're the #1 real estate experts giving real solutions. But before I get started, I want to give it up to my sponsor here. It is brought to you by From Broke to Millions, man. If you don't have this book, you're missing out on, you're missing out. You're missing out on life because you ain't getting that money, baby. You ain't getting this bag. You ain't getting the bag. Get this book, man. You'll start getting the bag. And you'll get nice bags. You get a Louis Vuitton bag. You can get a Gucci bag. You can get a what do you call it? I don't even know what to say. A Birkin bag.
Maybe a diamond studded bag.
A bling bag. Hey, so get your book From Broke to Millions. But listen, we got something even better coming, man. We got something coming in January in person where we're going to teach you how to raise capital. So stay tuned. We'll talk about it more next week. But yeah, man, all the way in the corner, kind of from Bond Hill, give it up for my man, Walt Potty the Pipe Piper. What's up, baby?
Kinda, just like when I'm from the hood.
What's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm fantastic, man.
You sure?
I'm about to get a new car.
You are about to get a new car.
Wait, you're going to give what car again?
No, I'm about to buy Mike's wife's old car.
You buying that Toyota? Passed around these last couple of months.
It's like those strippers we were talking about earlier.
Oh my gosh. This is about real estate.
Oh, okay. I thought we was talking about chicken wings.
Hey.
Talking about chicken wings.
Hey, so yeah, we was like, did you know at the strip club, the chicken wings are the best? He was like, what? Yes, chicken wings are so much better at a strip club.
They got a whole like buffet. You get, like a whole buffet. It's like a lunch deal, man. Go ahead and get you some.
All the way from the Philippines, the Asian persuasion, and the wing connoisseur, Wendell the Guzman. What's up, brother?
All right, guys. I only eat wings after I met Mike.
What do you?
And
That's not kind of stereotypical and racist there, man.
Hey, man, I remember I had a job. And on my last day of the job, they decided to go to KFC for lunch.
That's cold-blooded.
That's cold, man.
Hey, man, how you go be on there like, I ain't started eating chicken wings till I met Mike? He was eating, I guess he started eating watermelon too then, huh? Mother sucker.
No, I don't like watermelon. All right. This is not always this fun during our live podcast. It just so happened, but guys, you're in for a real treat. We will have, once again, by popular request, the $100 million man, John Casmon.
Yeah.
To interview him. And then you guys get to ask all the questions that you want.
You're really screwed up with these chicken wings.
I did not intend that. That's not a racist comment. Okay, anyway. That's the only thing that I order in that pizza place. But
I'm actually glad you ordered the wings instead of the pizza.
Yeah,
the pizza is bad.
The pizza is bad.
It's actually good bad.
It's like grease with pepperoni, So that's how bad it is. But anyway, let's be serious now.
Grease with a side of sauce.
Right.
All right, go ahead, man. What we got today, man?
So after the John Casmon interview, he will tell us about this 132 unit he acquired in Milford, Ohio. So you guys, will learn more about that, like step by step, and then again, as I said, you get to ask questions. We encourage some audience participation here. So if you have questions, you can raise your hand and so on. But tell us where you're from, and at the end of the show, we'll give you guys a free book. Okay, so tell us where you're from in the chat right now, and then the last part of the show, Mike will share with you his millionaire mindset. Okay, because you can learn all of these techniques, until you're blue in the face, but until you believe it's possible for you, then nothing will happen. So that's very, very important. And with that, let's jump right.
Hey, they already start checking in. I was like, it's time to check in, and they already. I didn't even get a chance to say it.
There you go.
Oki, Atlanta, Raymond from Chicago, Richmond, Virginia, Lewis from South Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, Buffalo in the building, Modesto, California, South Kakalaka in the
Tim-
building,
Tim from
Virginia,
Cleveland,
Detroit.
Orlando.
Man, we got everybody. Sin City, Stephanie Golden. You know what, Steph? You're our favorite just because you represent Cincinnati. Somebody said he already asking questions. What should I do when during the recession, Jackson, Florida, I'm a college and have investors first flip will hit market next week? And that is mbg.dj.
All right, we'll answer that question
Yeah,
later.
man.
Yeah.
Dwayne from Atlanta, Grand Rapids. No, man.
Well,
What should we do in the recession, man? Get your money together.
yeah.
There's going to be so many deals.
If you learn how to raise money, that
Yeah.
will be very crucial.
Yeah, you just got to be aggressive, man. Like this recession is not going to be like other recessions. Like I've been sharing all the time. History doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
So things are going to be very similar. Layoffs are coming. So here's the thing. So many people are like, well, why are we going into recession? Well, because they increased the interest rates, right? And literally when you read things about documented, hey, by the rates going up, we're going to keep pushing until we create a higher unemployment.
Yep.
It literally said that. I was like,
Mhm.
it don't say, and it literally said that.
Yeah.
And so to get an understanding is, when there was so much pent up, I won't even call it pent up demand, but there was so much money in the market. I'm explaining this to you again. There was so much money in the market, people started spending more. So if they're spending more, they're buying more than usual. Therefore, there's not enough supply. So things were running out quickly. And on top of that, they were running out of supplies. Wasn't nobody working.
Mm.
So you got supply chains that want to supply but can't supply because you had COVID and you didn't have nobody going to work.
Mm.
They starting to come back. They're literally starting to come back. And I'll tell you about that. I'll start to talk. Well, some restaurants are still struggling, but well, even in Tuskegee.
Mm.
In Tuskegee, Alabama, I went to my homecoming. We normally have drinks after the game. Everybody hangs out in the conference center. Conference center shut down.
Wow.
Couldn't hire enough people to manage it.
So they didn't
That's
have enough
crazy.
workforce to have.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man.
wow.
Yeah. So we always have these large tents and people entertain in there, like these big gigantic wedding tents where we had that, but there was just parties everywhere. But anyway, getting back, there was so much the pent up demand that now you don't have anybody able to create or manufacture everything. They couldn't do it. So now they go get a loan so that they can pay people more, increase the wages, right? And then they're producing more. Well, now the rates will go up. So now things start slowing down, right? Because
Mhm.
now there's like, well, we're going to raise the rates. And so the loan rates will go. So people are not going to borrow anymore to be able to mass produce. They're not going to take out a loan to cover those wages. So what happens, production slow down. And on top of it, people are not buying as much.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
now the production is going down. Well, guess what?
They're trying to kill demand.
They're killing demand. And so now nobody's buying. So guess what? Nobody's delivering anymore. Amazon are going to cut back on drivers.
Mhm.
Truck freight is going to slow down.
Mhm.
Air freight is going to slow down.
Mm.
So you got all the railroad company slowing down. So that entire sector is slowing down already. They already projected to be down 25 to 30%.
Mm. Wow.
Already. Right. And so what? Now the drivers that are contracted to drive, the laborers at the railroad don't have much work to do. So they cutting their hours back so they don't have as much money. Drivers not driving as much. Guess what? they're fighting over deliveries.
Oh, wow.
Right. So if they fighting, some are just going to get cut out. And then that guy living at home is going to lose his house or he's going to go underwater. That's why deals are going to start coming.
Yep.
In every storm, there's an opportunity after the seas calm down. But through every storm, you become stronger. All right. Let's go
That's
ahead.
why you need people like, smart people like John, right, to guide you, and you, Mike, to guide.
Well, thank you.
To guide you guys on how to navigate the storm, because I mean that's how you became financially free when house flippers went from flipping houses to flipping burgers, right?
Yeah.
That's when you actually became financially free because of the great financial recession. So you want to be on that side versus losing everything because of this recession, which is technically already a stagflation, will only become worse, and then it will become a bad recession.
But again, I don't think it's going to be blood in the streets like it was back in 07, 08, 09. Do I think they're going to be the reason why, as every experience, people get smarter, right? So they learn from the experience. And so in this recession, the last recession, that everybody went in just foreclosed. Well, they realized they could have worked the deal out with restructured the loan,
with the homeowners,
or sold the note to someone else and let them restructure the debt to clear off their books. And so now people are being much smarter. Like, you know what? I'm not going to foreclose. I'm not going to evict this person. I'm going to restructure their loan. I may not make as much money, but I'm going to take their rate down, or I'll forgive so much of the debt. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to restructure your debt. I'm going to still make you pay me back what you owe me on the back end, right? So my point is, I don't think they're going to go out like this, but there's still going to be a lot of deals out there, but they're going to be quick, fast, and you got to be in your network. You need to leverage, as we always talk about, social media to make things happen. All right, look, man, I'm going to quit talking here, man. We got to bring John Casmon in the building again, man. All you guys asked about him, and you're so excited about how he didn't even do any really heavy lifting, and he generated $2 to $3 million in value. Now that's a deal I like. That's what I call the lazy investor. I like that, man.
The $100 million man.
Yeah, because I'm so pissed, man.
I like this picture because he just looked like, yeah, I made 100 million.
Yeah, because I like, man. Yeah, he do like because look, I gutted this building and gutted all the way down to studs. Had to deal with contractors and all these lies, and this is how I got bids. Let me tell you something seriously. I said, hey man, we need this job. And I need you to do this, man, because one of my contracts show up. And then this is what he says. He says, well, my car payment's due, my rent is due, and I got to pay this for my kids' school. That'll be $3,200. I was like, wait a minute, what I got to do? What does that have to do with the job?
The project, yeah.
Well, that's what I need to pay. I said, but the job is only $500. Well, that's what I need.
That's nuts, man. That's why they want to do contractors.
I was like, well, yeah, that's what you deal with.
Yep.
So that's why I try to get that. That's why people like to do the jobs where they're like, man, we just put a lipstick on a pig. Still a pig, just got nice lipstick. John, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Mike? Hey, man, I got to tell you, man, y'all started this conversation talking about chicken and strip clubs and then went all dark with, the economy and inflation and all this stuff. And I'm glad you kind of brought the energy back up, because I was like, man, if he bring me on after he talks about blood in the streets and all this other stuff, man, the energy all dropped off. You can't come on talking about chicken in the strip club and then be like, and the economy is terrible. Let's bring on John.
Guys, this is all unscripted, right? No, like we did not prepare. We did not plan it out to be this way. Anyway.
All right, I didn't get the invite last time, so let me know so I can get my hall pass.
Hey man, I don't know how we get anywhere around here, man. But yeah, Wendell was amazed that the wings are better in a strip club.
I got to hear the backstory on that another time, but yeah,
No,
we can
that
move
is
on.
no
man.
backstory.
There isn't. There isn't.
Apparently, y'all went to a strip club window, and I want to hear about it. But
I
we'll
mean,
do that
I
later.
don't know. Y'all ain't never had lunch at the strip club.
In Atlanta, so in Atlanta, anywhere they have strip clubs, that's just a thing. Like it's not. Matter of fact, you go to Atlanta, they got high-end strip clubs where you can get like a high-end steak dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the strip club.
And
It's
then they got
it's
the
a
low-end
thing.
ones that's like golden.
If you know, like pole dancing, strip clubs are a thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like a dinner theater, you know?
All right, let's move.
I know people are like, what? I just wanted to learn some real estate today.
All right, let's give them what they want.
All right.
No,
Oh,
yes,
yes, so
man, yes.
flustered
Not-
today.
Not what Walt wants.
All right, so
Let's go.
so John, where we leave off at, man?
Well, tell us a bit about yourself too, for those of you who
Yeah,
haven't
absolutely,
been,
absolutely.
like last
For those
week,
who
yeah.
weren't here last week, yeah, name is John Casmon. I am located here in Cincinnati. Prior to moving here a few years ago, I was living in Chicago, and I'm a real estate investor. And like many of you, I made the transition from being a full-time corporate professional. I spent 15 years in corporate America doing marketing and advertising for big brands that you've heard of, and slowly started building up my own portfolio on the side. And what happened for me was, like many of you, I just kept running out of my own money. And I realized that in order to actually scale and grow, I was going to have to learn how to leverage other people's money, or OPM. So started to learn more about that, hired a coach and a mentor, and got introduced to syndication, and slowly but surely started to scale that portfolio. To date, we've done over $100 million worth of real estate with all of our partners, and we continue to scale. So last week we talked about really kind of the origins and that transition period and getting started. And we talked about a deal we did last year in Louisville, 104 units built in 2019, and how we were able to create a lot of value in that property without really doing major renovations. And we're always looking for deals where we can add value, but also mitigate or minimize our risk in that process. So I know we talked about that, and I know we want to talk about a deal we've done more recently here in the Milford, Ohio area called Cook's Crossing.
Yep. All right.
All right, let's go there. Let's move. Next slide.
Oh yeah,
Walt.
just going to the slides. Well, okay. I'll figure it out later. Yep.
Okay. Well, next one. There you go. Yeah, let's dig deep into that 132 unit.
Yeah, let's go deep in. So, let's start with how you found the deal. If I remember, one of your partners brought the deal. How did they get that? Like, what did they do to make that happen?
Yeah, man. So this is one of the great things about
Oh, this is a different one. This is Milford. Okay.
Yeah, this is the Milford one. We talked about.
Okay.
Yeah. So listen, this is one of those things where what's so attractive about apartment investing is you don't have to do it all yourself. And I had lunch yesterday with a gentleman. We talked about this, but when you're getting started, you feel like you have to do everything. You've got to find the deal, you got to underwrite the deal, you got to have the broker relationship, you got to have the capital to close, or at least to get it under contract, and it can be overwhelming. So one of the little secrets to actually see success is to figure out what you can do really well and focus on that, and then identify other people in your network who can do other aspects of it and grow with them. So this deal actually came, and it's tied to the previous deal. The previous deal we did, which was in Louisville, that is a 104 unit deal. One of the partners we brought in to help us with that deal helped us, bring some capital, and he had another deal in the market. So we kind of asked him questions about the market and what he was seeing, and he kind of partnered with us on that deal. Well, he actually got this deal and returned the favor and said, "Hey, John, I got this deal. It's in your backyard. Are you interested in helping me?" The irony is the broker on this deal is somebody that we have a great relationship with, and we actually saw this deal and we passed on it initially, right? And this is a theme that you'll hear me talk about on the deals we keep doing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are deals we actually saw and passed on, or had to come back and look at a second time. And that's why we always talk about, you don't really find great deals. You kind of have to create them. And when he brought me in and said, "Hey, I've got this deal," I had to stop and say, "Well, hey, talk to me about what you saw in this deal," because I looked at it And I didn't see the same opportunity. So he kind of laid out what he saw. And as we talked about, I'm like, okay, I get it. Makes sense. I understand why you did it this way. And we decided to partner with him on his deal. So the first thing is just understanding that you don't have to be the sole source of your deals. If you build deep relationships with people you know, like, and trust, and you understand them, and you have a connection with them, and you understand what they're doing, well, now you're more open to partner with other people, and you don't have to be the lead on every single deal you do. So this is a deal where general partner's on. My partner is kind of taking the lead role in this one, whereas we're taking the lead role on the other deal we talked about last week. So this is a deal that they found. It was on the open market, and it was with a broker that we both have a great relationship with. And the thing we really liked about this deal was the interior units were actually already renovated. And that was really intriguing. But that's also the reason I passed on initially. I didn't think there was value add to be here because they had already renovated the interiors. And what he came back and told me was like, yeah, they've already done that. But think about it this way. The exteriors haven't been done. And when you think about how to actually get the max value, we've got to actually bring the rest of the property up to match the interiors. Think about it from a renter standpoint. You know, most of the people, when you're renting, you make your decision before you actually step foot inside of the unit. So you're going to drive around the area, you're going to pull up, you're going to look at the outside, you're going to check out the landscaping, and you're going to have a gut feel of whether or not you like the place. So before you even step in the door, you're already leaning heavily one way or the other. And once you step inside, you're either going to confirm that expectation, or maybe you are surprised and you say, oh, this is actually way nicer than I thought, but can we get it at a different price point, right? So for us, the rents on this property were actually $300 below where we could get it in the market. And the reason they're below is because they haven't done the exterior renovation. They don't have.
You said it was $300.
$300. Yeah, 300. So, and again, one of the things that happened in Cincinnati is you will see properties where there's maybe a category leader from a rent standpoint, and there's room to push rents, but most owners just aren't aggressive in pushing rents. So it's not until the guy next door starts pushing his rents that this guy will start to push his rents. So you see that happen a lot in these areas where it really takes somebody to start that process before the rest of the area kind of picks on, right? And in this, we found a couple of comps that had higher rents up to $300 more. And we felt that if we could get the property to match this, the finishes, if we can get the exterior to match the interior, we could get those rents as well. So that was our business plan. The picture you see here is actually what we did to the exterior. So I don't think we have a previous picture of it, but if you see the white trim and kind of the black decks, the decks were kind of just your basic wood. That trim was a completely different color before. So none of that existed. You know, it was just kind of your basic building with your basic wood deck, and it really didn't pop. We changed that awning into a black. We're working on the landscaping right now, and we're actually going to build out a clubhouse. So this property right now does not have a clubhouse, but the thing that's really cool is this is like a 5-acre property. So there's room. Yeah, it's a huge space, and it's got plenty of woods. We could do a hiking trail in the back. There's a lot of other things we could do. We could actually build more.
You know what? I'm still over here like you typically don't hear this, man, but literally you said we can increase the rent by $300 if we just do the exterior. Like I've read about, like, don't get me wrong, like they don't necessarily say, they say, man, do the landscape, that'll change the appearance of the building. What you're talking about is doing the facade of the building and potentially landscape.
And the parking lot. Don't get me wrong. It's not just some plants. It's a full on renovation plan. It's almost $1.5 million of exteriors.
So how much were you? What would a rent at the time?
I got to look them up. It's between about $1,100, I want to say. But I think
and then you were able to push it up.
Yeah, we're pushing them up to we're pushing between $1,350 and $1,400 is what we're pushing them right now.
I mean, that's what, $5 million in value potentially, even more.
Yep.
Again, and what does that come out to be a door for $1 million? That's $10,000 a door.
Less than
10.
Yeah,
it's about a little less than 10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 132 units, so a little less than 10. Yep.
That's impressive.
So at the
and the thing with this
is 5.4 million increase in value.
Right. And the thing is,
Yeah.
it really is a focused renovation. Like I said, that money goes to building out a clubhouse, which is the biggest thing, right? Because you have to have those amenities that other people are looking for. So that's one of the things we're looking to add at this property. We had to do the roofs, the parking lot. Again, you see the exteriors, a little bit of landscaping. So it is a significant upgrade. Again, it's not like we're just going out there, painting the decks and then calling it a day. It's pretty much renovating the entire exterior. We're also rebranding the property. We're putting up a new sign. We have a more robust marketing plan. You'll find a lot of properties in this area don't really have a robust marketing plan. So we want to make sure that we actually get this out there. We're pushing it. We're sourcing people. And then Milford's an area that is on the come up. So it's seeing nice
No,
growth.
definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth happening in the area. It's got really great access to, different employment. You can get to the freeway, 275s right there.
275,
So
right.
those are the things that we typically look for, right? Because there are things you can change and things you can't change. I can't pick a property up and put it in a better neighborhood. So we want to see that there's demand in the area. I'm familiar with Milford just because, like many of you, I've got kids, and Scene 75, which is a pretty big entertainment spot. It's actually, I think it's like the biggest entertainment spot by square footage, like in Ohio, or at least the state or something like that.
What are you
But
talking about?
Scene 75.
Oh, yeah. Right up off the highway. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's
but they get
good.
you get a lot of people just coming
Mhm.
through there for that reason.
No,
So again, that's how
really,
I got introduced to Milford in the first place.
I was blown away with Milford because Milford was like farmland just growing up here. And,
Right.
this is home. And that's like the suburb east side.
Yeah. Middle of nowhere
Yeah,
before.
basically.
Mhm.
And we ran into a guy that was in the hotels, and he's like, Mike, man, I got a deal. I was going to do these hotels, but now I can't. I'm going to end up selling land. And he was looking to build like a Fairfield and a home two suites. And I was like, man, and excuse me, beeping Milford, like, get the flock out of here, man. And then I started doing due diligence. I was like, Milford is balling.
Yeah.
And like, we could have built this hotel, and then somebody ended up buying it. They didn't, because what they were going to, what he really wanted to do is put two hotels and put like not a community center. What do you call it? Banquet space in there, because like you said, it's entertainment, but they got a big field out there where you have nothing but soccer and lacrosse and baseball, fall and summer, fall, spring, and summer. You just got that gap in the winter. And literally in the wintertime, they go over to this big indoor place in the same area and do the same thing. So yeah, Milford is pretty hot, man. It's a great job. Tell me how, so now the investor you had, did he put up all the money as well, or did you have to bring in some, or what
Yeah,
was?
so this is definitely a collaboration on the capital raising side. So what ended up happening on this deal is we were having various conversations, and we did bring in kind of LP equity, so regular everyday people like you and I investing in this deal. But he was also having a conversation with the private equity group. So the private equity
Hold
group
on,
actually
sorry.
yeah.
You said everyday people. I am not everyday people. I
I
am more than average, and so are you, my friend. We are abundantly and equivocally on the top tier of everything in life. Okay, I just want. Sorry.
Well, here's the deal. The reason I say everyday people is because I think there's this perception that you have to be at a certain level to invest in deals
Absolutely.
like this.
No,
And I want people to
absolutely.
understand that regular professionals are investing in deals like this without having accumulated X amount of experience or having whatever requirements. So this is attainable for anyone to invest in. Now, some deals you have to be accredited, and this was a deal where you did have to be accredited, but these are the kind of opportunities that are out there, even if you are still learning and growing and you haven't necessarily taken that plunge just yet.
Man, John,
But going back to it, yeah.
just say, I'm really glad you highlighted that, man, because I've run into so many people, and I did the same thing. You immediately put someone who's making money, and it's about perspective, right? They're making money on deals, and we put them on this platform that they're untouchable. I can never be there. And what you need to look at is change the perspective. What you're really looking at is, hey, they're up there and they have a pathway. They actually blaze the trail for you. All you got to do is follow the format, find a format that works for you, and you can be there and potentially surpass them. So yes, we start off as everyday folk, but it's really all about mentality. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
it because I myself was broke, literally. I came from middle class family. My mom and dad, I didn't see no money. I saw $100 bill on their dresser one day, and I was like, "Ooh wee, that's the loot." Now remember, it was just $100 bill, not a stack of them. And so, no, just got to put that work in. So sorry, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, man. So on the deal, basically, we were exploring different pathways, and my partners were having a conversation. They actually got a private equity group to write a large check, so about $3 million or so, and then we raised the other about $4.5 million from our LP partners. So we brought some capital into the deal, and for us, we have a network of investors that we've been cultivating and working through for a long time. So we presented this opportunity to them, and many of those folks decided to join us on this opportunity. And for us, again, it comes down to understanding the deal, what do we like about it. I think if you're going to invest in real estate, every deal has some risk, right? Like that, you're not going to do a deal that doesn't have risk. And I remember there's a post you guys made on Instagram about finding the perfect deal. And someone's like, "Oh, well, I found the perfect deal." And I'm like, I completely disagree, because the perfect deal is a deal that is already in great shape. You can make money day one. There's zero risk or minimal risk involved. And, you can buy it for pennies on the dollar. And I'm telling you, I know a new investor is not out there finding that on a large scale apartment deal. So you have to understand what the risks are in the deal and then be able to mitigate that risk. But on the flip side, there should be something you absolutely love that you are willing to fall on your sword for about the deal, whether it's the location, whether it's the business plan, the rental upside, whatever it is. There needs to be something you love and you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about the deal, why would investors, someone passive, be excited about this opportunity?
That's
Like,
right.
if you're not excited about this deal you're about to do, and if you're not showing me that you're committed, you're vested, you believe in this deal, like, why would I believe in it? Right? Like, you should be excited about this thing more than I'm excited about it, because I just want the returns. You should be the one who's excited about the implementation of your business plan or what you've uncovered. So that excitement, that zest, there's got to be something you love, so that when you're talking to people, it comes through. Because if it's just an average deal and you treat it like an average deal and you're talking to people, you're like, "Yeah, I found this deal. Let me know what you think."
It's so funny you say that.
I'm not investing in that. I want to see
It's
something
so
that you
funny,
love and you're
man.
passionate about.
You say that, man, and I'm so guilty of it because I'm so laid back when I present deals. Like, whatever, it's this, it's that. And Nate goes off on me, but Nate's always like 100 miles an hour anyway. All right. So, but literally, I've had deals like my Sarasota deal. Now, I've shared with people that's a fire deal, but I still don't get all gung ho. Like, I don't, if you invest, great, it doesn't matter. Nate's like, I don't know what your problem is. Dude, this is one of a kind. You can't even build these anymore. There's only two can be built. Mike has the other one. They're probably going to cancel the other one. Do you realize we're going to have all our money back after we sell the condos? Well, those deals don't exist. Do you realize they're going to invest? And I was like, well, I mean, if you put it that way, yeah, I guess so.
But Mike, I think too, there's something to be said about being authentically you, right? Because I'm not like an overly boisterous kind of individual, but that doesn't mean there's not, like, I don't have to get super excited and be expression and all that kind of stuff to demonstrate that. But if we talk about the deal, I'm going to tell you the three things I love about every single deal I do. If I don't have three things I love about the deal, and I'm going to talk to you very frankly, I'm going to say, hey, I love the market. Here's what I love about the market. You can look it up. You can check the data. Milford has, in this particular location, I think the average household income is about $75,000, which justifies the upside. You talked about what's happened with the transition and the growth that submarket has had. So that's one thing, right? I'm going to talk about this thing. I'm going to talk about that thing. And then it's up to that individual, right? Either you agree, you do your own research, you believe in it, or you trust, whatever, but you go from there. But I'm going to tell you what I love about the deal. If there's not something that you love about the deal and you believe in, then there's some reason that you don't have confidence in it. And that's the thing you've got to address, because there's some risk, and the risk may be you, It may be your lack of experience. So you need to find somebody else who has that experience, or you need to find somebody who can help you supplement whatever that weakness is. Because if you're not excited about the deal, you're going to have a really hard time getting other people to believe in your vision. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. It's not so much about the excitement and all that. What we're talking about is you have to have a vision that's clear so people can follow and see what it is you see. And if you don't have that, you can't lead people. And as a general partner, as a person putting together these deals, you have to be a person who is leading other people to tell them where they're going. Mike, I know you always talk about, when you talk to investors, you ask them, what is your goal? And that you see yourself as the vehicle, right? To take them across the bridge.
That's
You got to tell me where we're going, and then I'll tell you how we're going to get across this bridge. But if you look at me and you say, yeah, man, I don't know how we're getting across this bridge, but why don't we just try to walk and see what happens? Nah, man. Like, right. So I'm gonna follow somebody who I think has a clear plan. Now, if we don't get across the bridge, okay, well, hey, we at least know where we went wrong, right? Because you had a plan, clearly something went offline. But I want to see somebody or follow somebody who actually has the ability to lead. And that's why it's just important to love, what it is you're looking at. It's not to say the deal is going to be perfect because you love it or you have this excitement, but it also forces you to be challenged. So if someone says, well, what about the interest rate, or what are your concerns here? Okay, well, we got to mitigate that risk. So we do a torture test before we even bring a deal to investors.
There
because
you go.
I want to anticipate these questions, and I want to make sure I feel comfortable with the answers, right? Because if something's wrong, hey, man, you know what? For instance, let me give you a very real example. On this deal in particular, we initially did not have an interest rate cap. And I talked to my partner. I said, listen, man, I don't know what's going to happen with rates here. We know they're going up. By how much, we don't know. We initially were going to have a reserve of $200,000. And we talked about it more and more and said, listen, I think we need to go ahead and bite the bullet and just get the interest rate cap. Because what if interest rates exceed what we set aside, which is the extra $200,000? Which I think when I did the math, I believe that would have afforded us about an extra 2% bump. So if interest rates were at 5% and they went to 7%, we had that, but that was only for like 1 year. So the longer we hold the property, the more of a risk we have there. So we actually ended up buying that interest rate cap. So that's one of the things we had to torture test. And when we first did the presentation to investors, we were not getting the cap. We got feedback, and then it kind of reinforced my position. We talked about it more and said, you know what? Let's go ahead and make this move because I think it's going to be best for the investors long term. So it's okay to have some friction as well and have things in a deal that maybe you have questions, because once you identify the risk, well, now you have some solutions in place to help identify and address that.
Yep.
That's great. Now let me ask you this, John. So you said $3 million came from a private equity firm, and then $4 million you raised that from private investors, high net worth individuals, right? So how long did it take you to raise the money? For those who have not raised any private capital yet, and then like, how did you structure the deal so it's win-win, so that you make money and of course that the passive investors make money as well?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep this simple and broad, but in short, what we're doing is we have what we call a GP-LP equity structure. So on the GP side, we get 30% of the equity. On the LP side, they get 70% of the equity, and they're going to get the first 7% of profit. I think we did 7% of this deal. So again, the first 7% of profits, that's our preferred return. So that's our hurdle that we have to deliver. Said differently or simply, the first 7% of profits, they go to investors. Right. And then after we hit that hurdle, that's when we partake in a 70-30 split. Okay. So it's an incentive for us as operators, because investors know that, well, they're really not going to get paid or make money until they at least deliver this 7% return. So that's our incentive and our hurdle to go out there and do everything we're talking about doing. And then after we hit that hurdle, now we get to partake in the proceeds and the upside.
Cool.
You asked a two-part question, so that's the structure of the deal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on how long it took. I think this one in particular took about 2 months for closing, and then we actually had a little bit of room open, so that took like another 6 weeks or so to kind of close everything out. And sometimes you can keep it open, a little bit longer if you raise the money you need to close, but maybe you need a little bit more for renovations or for your fees or reserves, whatever that is. So you can keep it open for a little bit longer. So in this case, that's kind of how it worked out.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. So roughly like maybe 100 days, if I'm counting it correctly, and
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
you're able to raise $4 million in 100 days. That's awesome.
Yeah, and to be clear and fair, I don't want to misrepresent. I mean, my partners did a lion's share of it. It was their lead. So when you lead it, you pretty much take the lion's share of it. But we definitely support and help. And as a collective, yeah, we raised that 4 million in about 100 days or so.
That's amazing. Yeah.
No, that's pretty impressive. So now, what do you have any hurdle rates after you get over the 7%? Like, is there a promote that you put in there as well?
Yeah, so we haven't done that up to this point. It's something we are starting to explore. And what Mike is talking about is basically, so the first incentive is, hey, we don't even really make money or get equity until we deliver, 6, 7, 8% return, right? But then let's say we crush it. Let's say we deliver 15% IRR or we double your money. Well, at a certain point, we want to get incentivized to say, hey, if we kill it, we should get a little bit more upside as well, right? Because we're doing a great job and we're doing all the work. So let's put a second hurdle or performance hurdle to say, hey, if we hit this, then we get a little bit more. So typically you might see something like a 15 to maybe 18% IRR hurdle, which is basically saying that if you deliver 15 or 18% IRR, then it jumps up where it goes maybe 50-50 or something like that. So we haven't done that, but that is something that we are starting to think about. And Kellen, yes, that's called a waterfall structure. Part of the reason we don't do that is because it starts to get complex. And remember this when you're talking to investors. A confused mind says no. So if I sit you down and I say, hey, man, yeah, and they say, well, how's the deal structure? How does it work? And I say, oh, it's going to be a 70-30 split. You get a 7% preferred return, then a 50-50 split once we hit a 15% IRR. You say that to the average person, they can be like, dog, I don't know what you just said. So you want to keep it fairly simple unless you have really sophisticated, seasoned investors who understand exactly what I said off the rip. Because if they're confused with the terminology or they don't quite understand how it works, that could be the thing that gives them the pause to say no on a deal.
That's great. That's great. So wrapping up, what would you share? 3 things you'll share with our listeners from this deal that you learned and that they can take away from this.
I think the first thing is don't be so quick to pass on deals and opportunities without understanding what the options are to create value. And said differently, I always talk about wanting to know the story of a property. And this is one where I think if we would have paused a little longer to understand the story of the property, we would have had a little bit more interest up front. So that's the one thing. Just make sure you understand the story and the opportunity before you make a yes, no decision on a deal. 2, on the current performance, one thing that we fully expected was when you're going in and you're going to push rents the way we're looking to push rents, you're going to have a little bit of higher vacancy. So right now our vacancy has dropped, our occupancy has dropped. So that's something we're working through right now to try to, get new residents in at the higher rent rates. So that's something that, can be expected whenever you're trying to push rents the way we are.
Did you, let me stop there for a sec. So is it that you went in and then immediately pushed the rents up, or did you push the rents up as tenants moved out? How did you do that?
A little bit of both, right? So if someone has a lease in place, you can't violate that lease and say, hey, whatever, your rent's going up $200. But if they have renewals, you absolutely can. Or if you have somebody who's month to month, you can go in and say, hey, there's either going to be a month to month fee, or here's what the new month to month rate's going to be. And then they can decide either stay month to month, sign a new lease, or to vacate the property. So we did a combination of those things to drive rents up. And again, if you're pushing rents up and someone is paying month to month, or they're paying maybe $1,100 and you come back and say, hey, your new rent's going to be $1,250. Well, some of those people will leave. So that's something that we've experienced, but also something that we've expected. And as we are renovating the units and the properties, we are seeing people who recognize the value that we're creating, and they are willing to pay that higher rent rate.
Nice. Then what's your third one there?
Third one.
Yeah, you got one more.
Yeah, so that was 2. Number 3 on this one. Man, I don't know what the third one is that I've learned.
Well,
I would say,
Importance of
yeah, I would say the third thing for me is just I do think that it's important to have good partnerships and good relationships with people you work with,
Yeah.
where you can talk to them and they respect your opinion. So that's something that's really, really important for us. You know, people ask us to partner all the time. I would say 4 out of 5 times, or maybe even 9 out of 10 times, we say no. And it's usually a combination of we just don't know them well enough to enter into a partnership. You know, maybe our styles are a little bit different, you know, or there's something off as far as roles, responsibilities, compensation, something like that. And because we had partnered with this individual before, we had known this person for years. They're in the Midwest as well. So we've, you know, I used to stop and see them, you know, every few months. And we just sit down, grab lunch, chop it up. What are you working on? What's this? So we've been knowing this person for years. We had the same mentors. We came from a similar background. We've known each other for years and all that. So that's really important for me to have a general comfort level with somebody and to have time for that to develop and evolve. Because you can meet somebody one time and it'll be great, right? But you kind of have to watch this person over time to see how they really move and see how they interact with people. And, you know, if you ask them to partner, how do they respond, or what do they think about partnerships? Or if you had a partnership that went bad, why did it go bad, right? So I want to understand all these things and give it time to marinate so I can really get a feel for somebody. And this is a person who we've had a chance to let that process take place. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect or you're going to keep working with this person forever, but I'm trying to mitigate risk, right? And one of the ways we mitigate risk is we partner with people where we feel like we can add value and be of help. And again, us being local here in Cincinnati, property is literally 20 minutes away from my house. I can drive there and be there in 20 minutes. He lives in Indianapolis. So it's something that I can help out as needed. You need somebody to run over there, do something real quick, or just shoot you a picture or something, whatever it is, we can do that. You know, he literally texted me yesterday saying, hey, do you have a photographer that you would recommend? I want to get some new pictures of the property. So little stuff like that, right? Where you have that relationship, but even on the big stuff where we could talk about something like an interest rate cap and whether or not we do it. And I'm not saying they're going to listen to you and do whatever you suggest, but you do want to be heard and you do want your concerns to be addressed and for them to understand where you're coming from and for you to have that collaborative conversation. Even if the outcome is not the outcome that you're looking for, you want somebody who respects your opinion. And I want that as an LP or a GP. I'm not investing passively with somebody if I feel like, you know, if I raise my hand and say, hey, man, I'm really concerned with this, or what are your thoughts on this? And they say, oh, don't worry about it, man, we got it. I'm out, right? I want somebody who respects my opinion enough to at least listen and then be able to address it. If it's not really a concern, you should be able to articulate why it's not a concern. And then if I think it's still an issue, I say, well, what happens if this? Then I want to hear that there's a response, right? So again, if it's collaborative, if it's truly a partnership, that should be the dynamic of the relationship, no matter what the role is or who's got the big seed and who's an LP. I'm looking for that kind of relationship whenever I'm working with people.
Yep. We're gonna speed it up here because we got a couple more slides and then we got 5 minutes for questions. So
yes, sir.
Quickly, you know, tell us the importance of you know, getting around coaching, man, for apartment investing. You know, quite frankly, I believe everyone needs a coach. I don't care what you're trying to accomplish, man. No matter what you're in, it's so much better when you get a coach. But tell us why you think it's important to have a coach.
I think it's so important to have a coach for a multitude of reasons. One, for my own journey, I need to see it firsthand. You know, I need to see my coach expand and grow his portfolio and see the stuff he's telling me to do, watching him put it in practice and seeing the results that it delivered for his business, because it opened me up to something that like I really wasn't thinking about. And we talked about the pedestal and right and putting people on pedestal. I think that's a mistake because these are regular everyday. I'm a regular everyday guy, right? So we call it whatever we want. I may have a little bit more success than some people, but when you put people on a pedestal, you disassociate what they've done or what they've accomplished from what you can accomplish. So I'm really big in like biographies and like understanding like people's stories, because I used to study success and want to understand like, well, what do these people do that maybe my family members or my friends or my uncles, my aunts, the people in my life, they didn't do, right? And you read stories about athletes and you start to understand they just work a little harder or they're around the right people. And to your point about a coach, I can go to the gym all day and shoot. You know, I can shoot for hours and hours and hours. But if I'm doing it or practicing in a way that is either, you know, I'm not saying wrong, but if I'm not working on my technique in the right way, maybe I'm not going to make the improvement that I'm looking for. So I'm putting in the hours, I'm putting in the work, but I'm not seeing the results. If I had a coach there who could say, hey, man, I think part of it is because you're doing this, 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 that's going to help you get better. That's why every athlete has a coach. When it comes to real estate investing, it's kind of similar. You know, you could be doing a lot of work, but that doesn't mean you're making a lot of progress. Again, had lunch with a guy yesterday. He was telling me, hey, man, I bought this coaching program. I'm feeling like I'm getting to the point where I'm a little burned out, not making as much progress. And we had the conversation about like, listen, we all have been there. I promised you, I had the same thing when I went through mine. I got to a point where I was supposed to underwrite all these deals. And I was just done. My kid was young, a baby, a busy full-time job. I had these flip projects that were just going miserably wrong. And I called my coach and I said, hey, man, like I'm just not there. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not there. And he helped me just break it down into the simple things you can do. And as with my clients and with the coaching, you know, you got Keisha up here as an example. You know, Keisha is a person who did a great job of listening. You know, and that's the other part of coaching. You got to actually listen to what people tell you to do. If they telling you to do it, it's for a reason. You know, and a lot of people don't want to do that, right? You have a fitness coach, they tell you, hey, go do these exercises or eat this, eat that. You have a nutrition coach. If you don't do it, you're not going to get the results, right? So, I mean, they can only help you so much. They're not magicians. Mentors are not magicians. So I told Keisha to do something. She did it. Specifically, I'm going to tell you exactly what I asked her to do. So one, she invested with me as an LP in my deal. She was looking to find her own deal. She was hoarding her money like this. And she was trying to find a deal that she could lead and run by herself. And her fear is a fear I think a lot of y'all have. That is, if you invest in someone else's deal, well, then you won't have money to do your own deal. If that's a fear you have, can you just put a 1 in the chat box real quick so I could just see if that's something that y'all have? You got a little money to invest, but if you put it in your deal or somebody else's deal, you won't have it for your own deal, right? And I'm not gonna call him out, but I had a call on the guy last week. And he's like, hey, man, I'm interested in being a part of your deal, but I want to be a GP. You know, can I be a GP? I only want to invest so I can be a GP. And I'm like, no. And the reason I said that is for 2 reasons. Because I think people misunderstand the journey. And when you start as an LP or you have a coach or you have somebody like that and you're investing in yourself, you actually are building your own credibility. Because even though you don't have experience as the operator, you're showing people your commitment to getting better and improving. You've either hired a coach and you're learning from that standpoint, or you're investing and putting your money to work in these deals directly, right? And sometimes it's both. But now you can share with people what you're doing. So with Keisha, that's what we talked about. I said, instead of hoarding your money looking for a deal as a new investor, why don't you build up your credibility, invest in a deal like mine? It doesn't have to be with me, but invest in a passive deal, then share what you're doing with people. Because now if you share that you're investing in these deals, you're gonna have more people interested because you're not trying to convince them to invest with you. You're just telling people, here's what I just did. And then those people who are interested are like, oh, you just invested in an apartment deal? I've always been interested in apartments. Tell me more about how you did it. Right. And now you can share with them, well, hey, if you're interested, the next time I have a deal or next time I'm part of an opportunity, I'll be happy to share with you. And now you have the ability to be a GP and to bring these people into deals and share what it is you're doing. So Keisha just took that and ran with it. I told her, when you invest in a deal, when close, tell people that you've invested in a deal. Tell people why you're investing in this deal. Tell people how you're investing from Kuwait. Tell people, you know, your concerns. You know, what were your fears? What were your concerns? What are questions you had? When you ask me questions, write down these questions and turn it into a social media post, right?
That's exactly what
she did. She did all of it. So she crushed it all. And guess what? People started reaching out to her. Hey, I'd love to learn more. Love to hop on the call. Love to know more, right? And there are some nuances to this to actually do it the right way. And again, those are kind of things she and I talked about every week, but she did it all and she got results, right?
Yeah.
So she's now invested in a ton of deals.
She has like 1,000 investors now.
Yeah. So just killing it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference between coaching, right? It's like if you have a great athlete, that athlete's still gonna be an athlete. But if you don't have a coach who can help you pull out and extract the value and help you with the blueprint and help you cut down the learning curve, it's critical. And I'm gonna tell you one other example, man. I flipped some houses, and I tell people all the time, I was terrible at flipping houses. If I had a coach on flipping houses, I would have made a ton of money, because my coach would have told me not to do the deals that I did. And they would have told me when the deal was unraveling before I could recognize it was unraveling and how to get out of it. Exactly. Because I rolled that thing into the ground, and it was just me holding the steering wheel and nothing else in the car.
It sounds like
I've done that too. Like,
Yeah.
like you know,
It sound like
deals are like, man, where's the contractor? This is unfinished. Like, what the heck?
yeah, it sounded like when I first started doing drywall, my man put drywall in and he put the nails in, the screws in, and put the mud on and sanded it down. And my guys, the experienced guys, came in like, that wall looks like shit. And I was like, how do you know that? And he was like, dude, this wall, this finish is terrible. I was like, it ain't even painted. Like, how can you can't even see anything? And he was like, I was like, I'm not changing anything. And sure enough, I painted the wall. I was like, oh, looks like shit. So that's the whole point of having a coach. They can see things way before you.
And talking about that.
So go ahead, Win.
Yeah. So guys, do you want to finally in 2023 own an apartment building, right? Make 40,000 a month passive income or more? Well, John Casmon and Mike are teaming up, guys, and they're going to help only 10 people, okay, to become apartment investors. So, text the word mastermind to Steven at 561-889-8135. This is by application only. We literally turn down people, right? So because we want to work with people who are coachable, like Keisha, who are action takers, right? This is not a course where you take it and you just learn. This is more like, you take it and implement the heck out of it and use John and Mike to like, hey, what am I doing wrong and how can I get to the next level? If you want to get to the next level, definitely join the mastermind if you are damn serious. If you're just curious, like, oh, I just want to learn, like how to calculate things. No,
Only
don't join.
if you damn serious.
Only if you're damn serious, because right? I mean, John and Mike, they don't want to waste their time with people who are not serious with this.
No, seriously.
Am I correct, John?
That's serious. That's serious.
Yeah. So next slide. And then so these are some of our successful mastermind members. So the question is, are you next, right? So if Keisha, Tim Vest, Robert Musso, Alex Chan, if all of these guys can do it, why not you? So with that, let's move on to the Q&A. We have like 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, we got 3 minutes. There's a couple of questions. So Shawnee Harris has a question up. Shawnee, you know what? Can we let her talk, or she already read her question in? Go ahead, let her talk real quick. Be quick. Now, if you don't know your answer, your question, we're gonna cut you off. All right. So put those questions back up while we getting her allowed to talk. And then there's a noob that wants a question as well. And Shawnee, your voice, your thing is muted.
You're muted. Go ahead, Shawnee.
And then go to Q&A. Walt, there was questions in Q&A. No, what are the top 3 things to avoid when looking to invest in the first property? Oh, is she there? There you go, Shawnee.
Yes, I'm here.
Get closer to that mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound like you're at the job sneaking in. Like,
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're in the bathroom.
What was the
like, y'all,
question?
I can't. No, it's your question. You can ask your question, but you got to be quick.
No, I actually was saying I believe in the coaching because it's so vital. That can either make or break you. It can contribute to your success, and it can possibly contribute to your greatness depending on who your coach is. It
Did somebody pay you to say this?
Level.
Did you sneak somebody in here, Wayne?
No, I did not. I don't even know, Shawnee.
No, but that's what I'm looking to do when I start out with this.
That's awesome.
And I do believe in that. A lot of people will look and say, "Oh, well, that's too much." But at the end of the day, why not pay for it? Because you're going to make that money that you pay for that coaching over and over again. If you have a successful coach that can catapult you, give you guidance, and help you with experience, and you learn everything in and out, why not?
Yeah, that's assuring to hear. Like I share that all the time. But as much as I talk about coaching, and I was one that was like, I'm not paying nobody to do this. I can do this on my own. I'll learn it on my own. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have took them courses so long ago.
Yeah, me too.
I
But at the
regret
end
it
of the
now.
day, it's important, and you are so right about that, because that's when the mistakes are made, when you don't have the experience and you in uncharted territories, or you swimming in an area that you have no experience in. And you know what? That mindset is a poor man's mentality, and it keeps you actually poor.
Ooh, she need to be
So
a
I'm
coach. Will you be
sorry.
my coach?
Listen, I'm trying to get to you, Mike. I'm just waiting on the little something, something. I've been dying to speak to you. I can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to sit down with you, because it's the truth. So we are as we think.
As
You
you
know,
think, so shall you
as
be.
you think, so shall you be. And
There
you
you
know
go.
what? We have not, because we ask not.
Ooh, Shawnee, give her them horns, man.
Listen, I'm all about the wisdom and the truth. And I keep it very real, and I tell it just like it is. It's the truth.
It's the truth, and the truth will set you free.
And one day, I want to share with you something. One day, I met some millionaires, and I never really fully understood what they meant when they said that being a millionaire is a mindset. I never truly got the gist of that. But I can't wait to meet you, Mike, so I could tell you that story.
Okay,
Because
I'd love
that's
to
the
hear.
story that changed my thinking process. It changed my thoughts. It changed my perception. It changed everything, that helped me to see things from a whole different perspective. And 3 of the millionaires that I met, they didn't even have high school education diplomas.
That's absolutely. Give her a
Blew my
round of applause.
mind.
She done figured it out, baby. She done figured it out.
There you
Well,
go.
Miss Harris,
And you know
I
what?
thank you, and
It,
I
it, it,
hopefully
it,
you'll
it,
come
it,
down in January where we have one of our meetups here. All right.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
love to do that. And I'm a healthcare professional, state licensed, and working in a title. And it changed my life, what they shared with me.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry, now I got to jump on another question, but we'll love to meet you and talk more. Is this
Yep, can't wait.
surprise, Satar?
Cypress.
Cypress?
Satar. Yeah.
All right, hopefully I'll say that right. You got a shot whenever. All you got to do is hit the unmute.
Okay, yes.
There you
Yes,
go.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
Okay, so actually, well, first thing I'll say is I actually did join the coaching, the other coaching program that you run with Nate Parker.
Yeah.
So, I just want to jump on here and say that. And, I just joined about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's great so far. And, I've already, as I started to network, there's already someone that I met that, we're potentially going to go into partnership on a deal in the Los Angeles area.
There you
Oh,
go.
La La Land. I love it out there, brother.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's only been 2 weeks.
There you go.
It's all about your network, man. Truly,
Yep.
your network is your net worth, man. And I'm so glad you joined and became a part of it. And not only that, you took action. You took the necessary steps. You're communicating. So I'm really looking forward to your success, because honestly, guys, you guys will do way greater things than we've done.
Yep.
Hey, thanks so much, brother.
Of course.
Wait, that's
And
yeah,
the
but
last
what-
thing I'll just say is,
yeah.
Oh,
if anybody wants to reach out to me, wants to learn more about my experience, with your coaching programs, feel
Yeah.
free to do so.
Yeah, hit him up, man. He'll share, man. But like, we're gonna have another big meetup as well. I'm gonna take this next one, and we're gonna jump. Joyce Thomas, what are the top 3 things to avoid when looking to invest in a property? And then also, are you investing in real estate strictly for cash flow and financial freedom, or is there a bigger picture to your movement? Oh, then Chica came back. So, when I first started, I did real estate for the cash flow. That was one of the key things that I was looking for and that I needed. And then once I was able to have enough cash flow, that, didn't force me to go try to grab any project or any job. It gave me breathing room. It gave me area to think and depend on that cash flow. So then after that, I started going for a bigger and better projects, but I was more patient instead of trying to pay my bills for the month, literally, because I was grabbing deals that I didn't really necessarily want. And I put all this energy in to only make $2,000 to $5,000. But once I was able to buy enough properties to generate $5,000, well, look, all my bills were paid. Well, guess what? You're not in a rush. You still got that hunger, that thirst, but you're not rushing to do different projects just because it's there. So now, because of that, because I got a larger cash flow, and it's over 5,000 now, but much more. I'm able to focus on larger projects like Sarasota. I'm able to jump on larger hotel deals like I'm looking at now in Syracuse, because now I have the cash flow, which again allowed financial freedom. But the bigger picture is, I'm looking for legacy and abundance of wealth, and that I can share not just with my family, but my community. So that's the big picture for me. Top 3 things to avoid when looking to invest in the first property, make sure you get legal assistance, because sometimes you don't understand the contracts, and it is so much better to just go ahead and pay. And I know you'll be like, man, I don't want to pay nobody, $1,500, $2,500, $3,500 review your contract. Look, I promise you, it could save you so much more money just by letting legal do that. I'll tell you 2 things. When I first did my first owner finance deal, when I was buying a 2-family land contract, it's a small thing, but it was big. I was going to read it, just sign the document, but then somebody told me, Mike, go get a lawyer, let them read it. I was going to sign this deal where it was an owner finance, basically a land contract, and the seller did not have a provision where if he were to default, that we had a deed in escrow that was signed and executed in case he defaults or passes away or whatever the issue may be. I then can pull that deed out of escrow because of default and then take over the property. That one simple thing could have hurt me. And just to give you another idea, we had another deal like that where the owner was doing owner financing and they filed bankruptcy. But because we had a lawyer that was experienced and understood that before the lady even filed bankruptcy, he made sure that they had a deed in escrow and changed some of that verbiage. Well, when this lady filed bankruptcy on a property that we put $1 million cash in, she tried to throw it into bankruptcy. She couldn't do it. And we pulled that deed out of escrow and took over. That is why we say, go seek a lawyer. All right. Look, we're way over time. I'm going to go into this millionaire mindset. I'm going to give you 60 seconds of this millionaire. Let's go, brother.
Thank John first.
Oh, and John Casmon, everybody give up. Everybody get shouts out to our good guy, John Casmon, spending another day out here with us. John, I really appreciate you, brother. And John's going to be assisting us now with our fund that we're putting together, not just for our team, but for our mastermind group. We're really doing real deals together, and we're going to expand on that. And John's going to be an essential part of that as well. So stay tuned soon. And thanks so much, John, for joining us again today, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's get into this millionaire mindset.
Now it's time for Mike's millionaire mindset.
So many times I talk about, we've shared, and I just went over it, about the coach is everything. But not only coaching, because you need to have that confidence, that boldness. In order to be a millionaire, in order to be successful, in order to move to other levels, you must be bold and you must be confident. Just the other day, I coached my daughter's basketball. I coached my son and my daughter, but I got my 7th grade girls. And I had one, she's not really there yet. But a lot of it was because, and really for the whole team, it was really confidence. They had the skill set, but didn't have the confidence. Last year, in the history of their basketball program, they typically only win 1 game out of 10. 1 game out of 10. And I could see it in this young lady's eyes that she just wasn't confident. She wasn't bold. And yes, she wasn't a good dribbler. I'm going to tell you that now. She couldn't dribble. But I simply told her, dribble with boldness. Just pound the ball and go right through them. Go right around them. Dribble the ball like you've been dribbling for years. It don't matter. And with boldness, go straight through. And she took that. And guess what? She went straight through and took it to the hole. First time she even took anybody to the hole and scored. And that's what this is, just that simple thing. And I told these girls, yes, I coached them. I gave them a little better defense. We focus on defense. I taught them how to trap. I taught them how to run plays. But the biggest thing I told them, you don't quit until the end of the game. You don't stop just because you don't have the ball. You keep watching the ball and moving towards it. And already, they've won 2 games. Already, they've already beat their whole years of records. They're going to have a winning season this year for the first time. Yes, I'm going to take a little bit. Yes, it's some of me, it's some of the coach. But the big thing is they finally got confidence. They finally became bold. And in life, when you finally get that confidence and you finally get bold and you get bold enough to ask, will you, we have a great project and you can invest $500 to $1 million. You can be bold. You just write letters to these people that probably wouldn't sell a property, but you think it's a great project, and you write a letter and they respond and you make your offer. You must be confident, bold, and take action steps. And when you begin to do that, your life will change forever. Literally, you only need one big deal, and we're doing multiple deals. Just like we're just doing a deal just right now. We put a total of $1.8 million. No, 2.1. I can't. It doesn't even matter. The bank, just appraised it. It came in over 4. Came in on 4, even though we believe it's worth more. They're refining it and giving us 3.2. We're going to walk away with $1 million.
Tax-free.
Tax-free, still cash flowing. We keep doing it over and over and over again because we're bold. Matter of fact, we went into a neighborhood that was changing. When we went in, it was a D property. When we finished, we made it an A property, and now it's in a B neighborhood. Bold, confident. Please be bold and confident. Everybody repeat after me and say it in the chat. I am bold. Type it in there. I am bold. And if you ain't even on the chat, say it to yourself. I am bold. I am confident. I can't hear. I can't even hear. I need to hear it spiritually. I am bold. I am bold. I am confident. Now, look, you are just one big deal away. God bless you. God keep you. And I'll see you real soon. Blessings to you, man. Thank you, everybody. Ariel, there you go. I was about to get on you, Ariel. Well, because I know you bold and confident, baby. Lewis, Monique, Dennis, Shani. There you go. Jose, Christopher, Gift, Brittany, Chica. I'm sorry, Chica, I'm going to answer your question next week. Christina, Colleen, Craig, Damon, Dale, Dennis, Diego, Donald, Eddie, Enoch, Garfield, Gloria, Hitesh, Howard, 2-1, Joe, Kellen, Kurt, Latasha, Lewis, Roberts, Mastermind, Maverick, Monique, Nakia, Naea, Ola, Paul, Ramon, the Rehab King himself, Sarah, Scotty, Skip, Slaughter, Stephanie, Steven, Susan, Tony, Vaughn, Wesley, and Zach, and all my Instagram and Facebook friends, Christopher, Ariel, and everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Are we giving a shirt or book away?
Book away. We're going to give it to no.
You want to scroll back?
All right, let's give a book to Tony Fisher.
Tony Fisher, you are a winner today. Tony Fisher, Kellen, you can get a shirt, man. All you gotta do is hit us up. I'll send you one, brother. Tony Fisher, put in the chat or hit Walt up. Walt, did you put your email in there? Be bold, be confident. That's it. Be bold and confident. Hey, there's his email, Nassau Media #1 @gmail.com. Tony, hit him up at Nassau Media. And get it, man. Hey, guys, take it easy. God bless. Peace.
If you want to go and get it, you gotta get up. Hey. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I won't back down, no, no. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I stand my ground, oh. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm stronger now, oh, whoa. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. You try to knock me down. You try to take my crown. But look at me now. Yeah, look at me now. Yeah, look at me now. Yeah, look at me now. Yeah. You try to knock me down. But I got up somehow.